Engineers refer to a phenomenon called infant mortality. It describes how systems most often fail in their first hours of operation or after years of use, but rarely in between. Modern cars are designed to survive the first category. The second category is becoming someone else's problem. If you've ever wondered why a 20-year-old vehicle with basic fuel injection can still run, while a 5-year-old crossover with adaptive cruise control sits at a dealership waiting for a part that costs more than the car's remaining value, then you've noticed something structural. This isn't about declining quality. It's about what quality is being optimized for and how speed changes everything. The assumption most people carry is straightforward. Newer engineering means better engineering. More technology means more capability. More investment means more durability. But when you look at how modern vehicles are actually designed, built, and validated, a different picture emerges. The goals haven't stayed constant, the constraints haven't stayed constant, and the definition of success has shifted in ways that aren't immediately visible until something breaks outside the warranty window. This becomes especially clear when you examine markets where development happens faster than anywhere else in history. China can engineer a vehicle from concept to production in 18 months. That's not a criticism, it's a fact. But it raises a question no one wants to ask out loud. What gets compressed when everything moves that fast? Engineering is not just about building the best possible version of something. Rather, it's about building the best version that satisfies a specific set of constraints, such as cost, time, regulations, market expectations, and competitive pressures. In the 1980s, these constraints favored simplicity. Fuel injection systems were mechanical or semi-electronic. Emission standards existed, but they could be met with catalytic converters and basic oxygen sensors. Turbos were rare. All-wheel drive systems were simple transfer cases. Software mainly existed in engine control units with limited functionality. When something failed, it usually failed in isolation. A bad alternator, for example, wouldn't prevent the engine from running. A faulty sensor might trigger a warning light, but the vehicle would still be drivable. Systems were loosely coupled. Failures were containable. The constraints today are entirely different. Emissions regulations in Europe, China, and California have become so strict that naturally aspirated engines can barely comply. Manufacturers have turned to turbocharging, not because it is more reliable, but because it is one of the few ways to produce acceptable power from smaller displacement engines while meeting fuel economy and emissions targets simultaneously. A turbocharged engine produces more power per liter, which looks good on paper. However, it also runs hotter, operates under higher stress, and requires precise oil quality and change intervals that most owners don't adhere to. The engineering is excellent. However, the operational margin for error is much narrower. For the same reason, software became unavoidable. Modern vehicles have networks of computers that manage everything from throttle response to brake distribution to battery conditioning, not just engine computers. These systems enable capabilities that weren't possible before. Adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assistance, predictive transmission shifting, real-time torque vectoring is another example. However, they also create dependencies. When one module fails or receives corrupted data, the failure can cascade. For example, a failing wheel speed sensor can disable not only ABS, but also stability control and trigger multiple warning lights. It can also put the vehicle into limp mode and require diagnostic tools that independent mechanics often don't have. This isn't poor engineering, it's unavoidable complexity. The problem is that reliability doesn't scale linearly, it scales multiplicatively. For example, if you have 10 components, each with a 99% reliability rate over a given period, the system reliability is only about 90%. With 100 components, system reliability drops to around 37%. Modern vehicles have thousands of sensors, dozens of computers, and integration points everywhere. Each one represents a potential failure mode. Older vehicles had fewer components, so fewer things could go wrong. They weren't more reliable per component, they were more reliable as systems because the systems were simpler. The engineers building these vehicles understand this completely. They're not careless. They're operating under constraints that force specific choices. For example, when a regulatory body mandates a 30% reduction in fleet emissions over 5 years, manufacturers can't ignore it. They implement solutions that work within existing production timelines and cost structures. Those solutions often involve adding complexity: particulate filters, selective catalytic reduction systems, exhaust gas recirculation, variable valve timing, cylinder deactivation. Each addition solves a real problem. Each addition also increases the number of things that can fail. The engineer doesn't get to choose build a simpler car. That option doesn't satisfy the constraints. They choose build a car that meets regulations, hits the cost target, and survives the warranty period with acceptable failure rates. That's the job. This leads to an uncomfortable realization about what success means in the modern automotive industry. Success is defined as passing emissions testing, meeting fuel economy standards, achieving target profit margins, surviving the warranty period without excessive claims, and remaining competitive on price and features. Notice what's not on that list: lasting 15 years with minimal maintenance. That's not because manufacturers hate durability. It's because the market doesn't reward it effectively. Most buyers finance vehicles for 5 to 7 years, then trade them in. The secondary market absorbs the risk of long-term durability. Manufacturers optimize for the expectations of first owners because that's who generates revenue. A vehicle that lasts 20 years sounds appealing, but if it costs 20% more and offers fewer features than competitors, it doesn't sell. The market has spoken. It prefers newer technology at lower upfront cost, even if that means higher long-term risk. This is where speed becomes relevant. Building trust requires time, consistency, and demonstrated reliability across use cases that can't be fully simulated. A manufacturer can accelerate development. They can't accelerate the discovery of edge cases that only emerge after 150,000 kilometers of real-world use across varied climates, driving styles, and maintenance practices. China's automotive industry represents the most compressed development timeline in history. Companies that didn't exist 15 years ago are now producing millions of vehicles annually with sophisticated drivetrains, advanced software, and competitive pricing. The engineering talent is real. The investment is massive. The production quality, in many cases, rivals or exceeds established manufacturers. But trust isn't built through capability demonstrations. Trust is built through time-tested consistency. It's built when vehicles survive beyond their warranties without catastrophic failures. It's built when parts remain available, when service networks prove competent, when resale values hold because buyers believe the vehicles will continue functioning. Speed compresses validation time. It compresses supply chain maturation. It compresses the feedback loops that reveal which design choices create long-term problems. A manufacturer developing a new platform over 5 years has time to build prototypes, test them in extreme conditions, identify weak points, redesign components, validate the fixes, and still launch on schedule. A manufacturer developing the same platform in 18 months makes more assumptions. They rely more heavily on simulation. They commit to suppliers earlier. They have less time to discover that a particular seal material degrades faster than expected in high humidity environments, or that a specific sensor mounting location creates vibration harmonics that reduce lifespan. These aren't failures of effort. They're consequences of compressed timelines. The result is a market where newer doesn't automatically mean more durable. It often means more capable, more efficient, more compliant with regulations, but also more fragile outside ideal conditions. A modern electric vehicle with a sophisticated battery management system and over-the-air updates is technologically superior to anything from a decade ago. But if the software has bugs that emerge after 80,000 kilometers, or if the battery cells degrade faster than projected, or if the replacement cost exceeds the vehicle's residual value, technological superiority becomes irrelevant. The older vehicle that lacks those features but continues operating predictably becomes more valuable in practical terms. This creates a paradox. Markets reward innovation and speed. but trust accumulates slowly through demonstrated longevity. China can build vehicles faster than anyone in history. That doesn't automatically translate into consumer confidence that those vehicles will remain reliable for a decade. It's not a matter of current quality, it's a matter of unknown durability. The skepticism isn't irrational, it's the market pricing incomplete information. Trust is a lagging indicator. It takes years of consistent performance to build and minutes of publicized failure to destroy. What makes this uncomfortable is recognizing that modern automotive development is often economically rational, even when it produces less durable outcomes. If the average ownership period is 6 years, engineering for 15-year durability is over-engineering. It increases cost without increasing sales. The rational choice is to engineer for the warranty period plus a reasonable margin, then optimize everything else for features, efficiency, and price. This isn't planned obsolescence in the sinister sense. It's alignment with market behavior. Buyers say they want durability, but they demonstrate through purchasing decisions that they prioritize other factors. Manufacturers respond accordingly. The broader lesson extends beyond automotive. In any industry where speed and complexity increase simultaneously, the gap between capability and durability widens. Software companies ship products faster than ever, but those products often require constant updates to remain functional. Consumer electronics offer remarkable features, but become obsolete or unsupported within years. The pattern is consistent. Rapid iteration creates capability, but undermines longevity. This isn't necessarily wrong. It's a trade-off. But it's a trade-off most people don't consciously choose. They inherit it through market structures that reward speed over staying power. When a modern car feels less durable than one from decades ago, it isn't because engineering declined. It's because engineering changed its priorities. Older vehicles were simple and robust. Modern ones are complex, capable, and fragile by design. China's rise isn't a miracle or a threat. It's speed meeting scale. But trust can't be accelerated. Cars are built quickly. Trust is built over time. New is current. Proven takes years.